Thank you. And next time I see something from Jim saying, get here early for a seat, I'm going to believe you. Okay, so my son, my 4-year-old son, has this really nice blonde hair, and he doesn't like haircuts, and it comes down over the front of his face. And we were at Valley Forge this summer for a picnic. And he and his brothers are running around, and so he's up the hill a little bit, and he comes running at me, and we are like just recreating the cinematic slow-mo, and he's got his blonde hair, and he's throwing it back off his forehead, and I'm running to him, and he's running to me. I drop to one knee, and I give him a huge hug, and it's nice. And we get in the car, and we're driving home. I'm like, I got it. I finally got it. So flashback. So it's a really nice June summer day. I'm in the basement. I'm 20 years old, and it's a poetry workshop. And every poetry workshop that I've been to, up until this point, the rules are pretty similar. And one of the things that you have to do is you have to take what's on the page and you treat it seriously, even if it's absolute and obvious crap that was written an hour before while somebody was watching Jerry Springer. You take what's on the page seriously, and you find some redeeming thing in it, even if it's that semicolon. I think maybe you could do something with that semicolon, right? Whatever it is, you find some redemptive value. All right, so I'm 20 years old, and we're in the basement, so the lighting's all weird, and it's a weird mix of chairs, and the people I'm in the room with, we're doing a summer program, and they intimidate me. And I brought this poem, and I don't know if it's any good, and I almost didn't bring it, but then I'm like, well, that's what the workshop is for, right? You bring something, and you get it, and you make it better. Like, that's what the workshop is. So everyone's got a copy of the poem, and I look up, and across from me in the room is Afa Weaver, who you probably haven't heard of, but changed my life. Because like 20 months earlier, I went to one of his readings and walked out of there so full of life, I was like, screw poli-sci, screw law school, I gotta do this. And Afa in Igbo means oracle. And so here's this guy, I mean, I'm so jazzed, like, to get advice from him. I so want to impress him. And I read the poem, and I look up, and he takes it. And he doesn't look at me, he just kind of a quick sigh, and he puts it down on the table next to him, face down. And I'm thinking, whoa, how are we supposed to spend like the next half hour talking about these lines if they are face down on that table? I look around and nobody's looking at me. Everyone's like either looking at the poem or looking at him, seeing what he's gonna do next. And I'm panicking because this is against the rules. This is not the way it's supposed to go. My mind is reeling. He's just said essentially that my lines like insult him. No, this is not the way it's supposed to go. And so I'm looking around and my mind is reeling. I don't know what he said for a while. But then he said it's okay to be tender. Let me try that again because he's got a really deep voice. It's like, it's okay to be tender. But you have to be noble. I was like, oh, fantastic. What the hell does that mean? Right? So I'm 20 years old, I'm thinking about this, and I've written some like mushy romantic crap love poem, right? And when I think back at it, I'm like, I don't remember all the details of the poem, but I'm sure it was like brownie batter before you bake it. Yeah, it's not the thing. It's not that far away. It's not that far away, but it's not the thing. So I'm thinking tender but noble. And I spend a lot of time thinking about this. And me as my 20-year-old self, I keep thinking, well, that just means that you can like be a nice guy but still impress girls, right? Like that's what that means, right? Right? So it's like a pose I can strike or a job I can get or it's something like that, right? And I spent a lot of time worrying about this, and I spent a lot of time not getting it. And finally, I figured out that, man, if you have the noble purpose, there's tons of room for the tenderness. Right? With nobility of purpose means, man, you can have all kinds of tenderness, and that's not going to be a problem. And so as my son was running toward me, and my arms are open, and his arms are open, he's waving his hair back out of his eyes, and I give him that hug, and he hugs me back. Oh, damn it! Right? That was tender, and it was noble. So thank you, Afa.